Hey folks, it's Ray with Taste Radio. Right now, I am honored to be sitting down with Todd Davis of King Soopers and City Market. Todd, great to see you.
Hey, great to see you as well, Ray. Thanks for inviting me by. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we're here at Expo West 2025. How many Expo West is this for you?
This is actually my second Expo West,
Okay.
and I've been to one Expo East and a lot of KE shows as well.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of understanding the brands out there as I go to them, and just kind of get some insight from them. So it's been a pleasure coming out here to Expo West. It's always fun, and I enjoy it a lot.
Have you been able to walk the floor much?
I have.
Yeah.
I've already kind of came into some brands that I'm interested in, bringing in for 2025 and see how they're going to work out in our division.
Yeah. How long have you worked for King Soopers?
I worked for King Soopers for 2 years,
Okay.
but I've been with Kroger for 30 years.
30 years.
Yes, sir, 30 years.
That's
30
impossible.
years.
You look like you're 30 years old yourself right now.
I appreciate that, Ray. But no, I have a long journey. My journey's been all over the place, from store leader, store director, to a division rollout manager, over process changes and solutions, and then understanding 5S and best practices, and even starting off as a bagger. So I've been having a very fruitful career.
I love that. I love that you started out doing probably the most basic job you could do at the store and working way up to where you are right now. And your specific focus at King Soopers is
Natural foods, organics, local, and multicultural.
amazing. I got to address this because you mentioned before we hopped on the mics. You're also an avid collector of hip-hop music
Correct, Ray.
to the point where you have a title.
Yes, I do. I'm the largest hip hop collector in North America. It's one of those things that I started out when I was 11 years old, and just really got into it. And over time, just started getting artifacts, pieces, very rare items. And I have over 40,000 cassettes, 10,000 vinyl, and about 40,000 CDs as well, and a lot of merchandise and like little statues and all that kind of fun stuff out there.
Amazing. Who's your
Yeah.
favorite artist?
If I had to go overall, my favorite artist it's going to be a cliche answer, but Eminem. I really like Eminem. I liked his journey from 1997 to now, still active, and he never changed who he was.
Yeah.
That's what I like about him. He was his authentic self. I like that he was authentic self.
Have you ever had a chance to meet him?
No, I actually, they reached out to me and wanted me to do like a documentary with Eminem as far as his biggest fans, but I haven't heard anything back yet, so we'll see how it goes. So I'm sure Eminem has a lot of fans out there.
Yeah.
He does.
Clearly you're passionate about hip-hop. Clearly you're passionate about grocery. I feel like that is the key component of having a successful career and doing whatever you're doing, is being really loving what you're doing. When it comes to the success that you've had over the years, and I'm looking at some of the things that you've accomplished with King Soopers over the past year in 2024, and it's just really impressive if you look at the sales for natural, the sales for some of the local brands that you work with. It's really amazing. How do you think about getting up every day and doing what you do, and going to work, being as passionate as you were from the first day you joined Kroger?
Yeah, I would tell you, Ray, that to that point is that when you think about it, every day is a present. That's why it's called present. So it's a gift to you. So you got to go out there and get it. I mean, you got to really go out there and see how can you make a difference in your life. I was telling Jane Miller just the other day that when you think about the tombstone, one of the things on the tombstone is that the most important thing on there is not your name. It's not the day you was born, not the day you left us, not even the day that, not even your family. None of that is important as the dash, the smallest thing on the tombstone is the dash. And we're all in our dash right now. And so when you look at the day you was born, dash, the day you left us, that dash is the most important thing on there. And so every day I kind of take that concept and that practice and how can I make a difference? Because a lot of us are living for our resume. Some of us are living for our obituary. So you just got to go out there and really get it every single day.
I love that. I've
Yeah.
never heard that before. But the dash is the most important thing on your headstone.
Yeah, the most important thing. And I got some good news for you.
Yeah.
We're in our dash right now.
Yes, we are. Thank God for that.
Yes. It's a good thing.
Yeah. You reached out to us, and I'm so happy that you did. I assume that you listen to Taste Radio and you consume BevNet and Nosh content on a pretty regular basis. How do you interpret, dissect, evaluate some of the industry news that you read and hear about?
I just think that you have to go out there and get that information. Some of it's not going to go to you. I just do a lot of things to go out there and just capture what's the newest thing, what's the gap opportunities with our division. Is there something out there that I need to bring in that we don't have in, or is there something out there that need to expand the SKUs on? There's a lot of different things that I identify when I'm out there looking for what can be a market disruptor, or what can be something in the market that I need, and I digest all that information. But the most important thing I do is I go out there and make our competition as well. Have a conversation with the people within the store and just, hey, what's working for you? How's this brand working for you? And if it's something that's working well in their retail and I don't currently have it in our retail, let's have some conversation with their brand and see can we bring it in. I think that's real important to not get stagnant and stale. Just continue to grow every single day. The 1% rule, get 1% better every single day.
Yeah. I see a lot of brands here at Expo West, and I love shopping at stores and finding something new. It's pretty rare when I go into a store and say, hey, I've never seen this brand before. And I'm interested and attracted to products for a variety of reasons, but I'm not a retail buyer. What motivates you to pick something off a shelf, learn more about it, taste it, and get excited and potentially put it on your store shelves?
Yeah, there's a couple things. First of all, it's people. I think that the brand. Once I meet that brand and get to know the people, I think that's real important. Another thing too is that let's try something new. I think every single day we just got to go out there and get something new. And so when I look at those brands and I identify those brands that what I want to bring in, I think what's real important is that how can it make a difference? And here's the most important thing with the brands I bring in, because a lot of brands I bring in, they're not in line, they're not in the pod, they're not down the aisles. I use a shipper program or endcap, things like that. And so what that means is that a lot of those items are not on the shopping list. So how can I get this item that's not on the shopping list, that's going to be an incremental impulse buy, inside the shopping cart? And so what I do is that we have different ways and methods we do it. We do a lot of demos and sampling. We do any kind of thing that they can do from their side as far as the email blast to their consumers, their DTC consumers. We just have a lot of things and avenues that we do to get their brand and some excitement about it. Some excitement more than anything is one of the key components of it.
I asked you this when we first chatted. Do you have more brands coming to you? Um, Are the brands that are on your shelves, are they the result of more inbound interest in being at King Soopers and City Market, or is it more you going out there in the market and saying, hey, we want you in our stores?
They're a little bit of both. There are some times where I go out there and treasure hunt. I call it treasure hunting.
Yeah.
I go out there and try to find a brand that's going to be a treasure for us. And then sometimes, a lot of times, especially from a local perspective, a lot of local brands in Colorado reach out to me and say, hey, Todd, what can I do to get on the King Super City Market shelf? And so
Yeah.
we begin our discussion like that.
Well, and I'm sure there's a lot of times when you've said no.
Of
I'm
course,
sure there's a
yeah.
lot of times when you say this is not the right fit. How do you determine, even if you like a brand,
Okay.
that it is not the right fit, or how do you determine if a brand isn't necessarily, doesn't necessarily fit into your personal life, but is a good fit for King Supers? How do you differentiate? How do you make that decision?
So there's a few things. One of the things I do is that I take emotion out of promotion. There are some items that I just don't have a taste for. I don't like cold coffee. I can't drink cold coffee. Just upsets my stomach. But we've done some deals with some cold coffee brands, some Super Coffee, Rise Coffee, and those are successful brands that we partner with. But one of the things that I tell you that what makes me go out there and select those brands, and sometimes you have to say no to them, is that is a lot of things are data driven. So we look at data, and then also just I call it good analytics. Kind of like, is this brand really going to work in our store, in our region? And what I do is that go out there, talk to the brand, tell them what my expectations are. They tell me what they expect from us as King Super and City Market, and then what we do is have a conversation and let's give it a try. Because I think you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I think it's really critically important to just give a brand a try. Now, there are some times where it's not a no, but it's a not right now. There may be some things from a capacity standpoint you're not ready for. There could be a lot of different variables that make me say, not right now, not right now. Let's get some growth in you. Let's go. Maybe you have to go to another retailer first. There are some other things that plays a part in that, but it's never really a no. It's more so like a not right now.
How long is the lead time to go from I like your brand to getting on shelf? Do you have a cycle at King Soopers, or is it very much, hey, we like this brand, you can be in our stores next month?
Yeah, it's from brand to brand. So, like, say for instance, we just did something with Bonfire Burritos
Okay.
in Colorado, in the Golden, Colorado, with Ray and the team out there. And one of the things about them, they're already a successful brand. They're successful, and so it was just turning that switch on, and just it's the right thing for business. And it has a brand. You Love Cookies. I know Debbie Chatterini is going to get me about this, but You Love Cookies. She came in my office, and she just heard about me looking for local retailers, and she was doing some cookies, and we went from the infancy of packages in a Ziploc bag to being on our shelves today. So it's all about the brand expectations, what the brand know, and also not only that is that how much passion, I know we talked about that earlier, but how much passion does this person have to want their brand on the shelf? Because the hard work is keeping it on the shelf,
Absolutely.
not getting it on the shelf. So that's the key. That's the key.
You mentioned Super Coffee. I spoke with their founders about 3 years ago, and they said getting on shelf is the easy part.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the easy part, and people don't recognize that the hard work comes after.
Correct.
And the hard work comes after in maintaining and enhancing your relationship with your buyer, with that buyer relationship. And I'd love to just chat about a few things as it relates to best practices for maintaining and enhancing that relationship with your retail buyer. How do you say as a brand founder, how do you say no politely to a request that you may have of the brand and the founder?
If they can't say yes, what's the timeline? If you can't, if I say, hey, I need 300 shippers, and they say, well, Todd, we can't produce that many. And so I give them a timeline. Okay, I'll give you 6 months to produce that. And if they can't meet that timeline, then there's nothing I can do about that. But a lot of times I tell them why I'm saying no, because I think that's an important element of it, because that could go and course correct if needed to bring that whatever that no was to life.
How about transparency? When there's something that they need to tell you, and it may not be something you want to hear, is transparency always the best practice, or is it, let me wait to give them bad news?
No, I think transparency is always a good thing. I think it's a good thing, especially because the one thing you don't want to do as a brand is overpromise and underdeliver. I think that's the bad way of thinking. And I know a lot of brands get excited, like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in King Supers and City Market, but don't overpromise and underdeliver. Just tell me what you can do. Tell me if the things I'm asking for are attainable. And if they are attainable, let's work and let's do some business together. But the one thing I don't want you to do is say, yeah, Todd, I can get those 300 shippers to you by next Monday. And then all of a sudden, me and my team is writing a sales plan together. And I reach out to them and say, okay, they're going to be in the store. I need them in the stores Wednesday. I need another month. That's not the right thing to do.
Yeah. And for you as the buyer, the last thing you want is empty shelves, and you're gonna have to fill those shelves with something else. And it may not be the brand that you were working with, but hey, it's filling your shelves.
That's true, because I have leadership that I'm responsible for. I have rules and P&L that I'm responsible for. And so the things about it is that if leadership, I'm telling leadership I'm getting excited about a brand, I'm posting on LinkedIn, I'm doing all these different things to get excited about the brand, and then they can't fulfill that first order and I'm having empty shelves, leadership is going to look at me about that, because that's my responsibility. So I tell the brands, I'm transparent. I like to call it hot topics. Honest, open, and transparency. So whenever I talk to a brand, we say, let's have a hot discussion. And they tell them, I say, hot is an acronym, honest, open, and transparent. And so we talk about all those things. And a lot of times I've had brands say, I can't do that, Todd, not right now. Let's come back. And we have came back and cycled some brands and brought them back in that when they was ready. So it has worked both ways.
Yeah. How do you talk about success with brands? How do you explain what success at King Soopers represents?
So I think success in King Supers represents is whenever I bring in a new brand in, they're on shippers. The most brands, their goal is to be in line in the POG down the aisles. And I tell them, I say, okay, so what can we do? And what can I do to help you reach that goal of success? And now, once you get down the aisles, to your point earlier, the work's still begun. But now you're in the aisles. Now you're down the aisles. You're in a POG. You're in a planogram, they call it. And so now a lot of brands, that's what their success is. Some brands move units very fast, because we look at units by store by day. Some brands do very well in that. Some brands not so much. But a lot of brands, their only goal is to get down the aisles. And then once they get down the aisles, I tell them, now the real works begin.
Yeah. When I talk to brands a lot of times. They have a pretty robust new product development strategy, or at least a vision for what they want to create next, what their innovation strategy looks like. How much should they share that with retailers and buyers like yourself?
They share it a lot. They share what our vision
Is
is.
it important to share it with you guys?
It is because I think some brands move a little too fast
Mm-hmm.
with innovation. I think, and then some brands don't do enough innovation. And I think it's something to share with us because just getting our opinion. We see a lot of brands. I introduced last year 48 brands, new brands to the shelf last year. So a lot of times they share their innovation for me, and I just give my opinion on what I feel about the innovation and is it a gap opportunity? When I look at gap opportunities, is this something that the consumer's going to want? That's new to that for that brand. So a lot of times it's just about gap opportunities, just identifying things like that. But they do share it with me. They do, and I feel it's important too.
You've talked about some of the brands that you've worked with that are local to your stores, and the importance of maintaining a good presence for local brands. What programs exist such that you're supporting the development of these brands, such that they can expand, they can incubate almost in your stores and expand elsewhere? I mean, what programs exist at King
Yeah,
Soopers?
we do have like an incubation program. We call it the Colorado Proud section, and this Colorado Proud rack is in approximately 70 stores, half of our stores, and it's some items that's just local. You can't find down the aisles. They're not in the POG. They're just in our local area. And what it is that those a lot of those items grow and move the units fast enough that they be going to POG. So one of them was wild chips. They went yeah, they went to the POG, and so we working with a couple of them now that's moving units so fast that our local rack that we have in our stores is not having holding power for it. So we have to get it moved to the shelf.
I would call Wild a pretty disruptive brand in
Yeah.
that they do something that isn't common or had been seen before they did it. They make chicken chips made out of ground up chicken, and I don't even know how they specifically do it, but it's a pretty innovative concept. I would call that innovative. I would call it disruptive. How do you define innovation? How do you define disruption?
Well, to the brands, every brand is very passionate about their product. So I get a lot of it's the best
Sure.
thing. It's the best thing ever. Sometimes it really does be the best thing ever. Sometimes, but what it is that what I go out there and look for, and with a disruptive, when you look at like a quote unquote disruptive brand, is it really? Is it really? And what I mean by that is that is it something in the market that's going to really gain the consumers, you know, awareness and gain the consumers' interest on, you know what, I'm gonna try this brand. We work with Melton Forest, David and Sean, and what it was is that it was a mushroom functional drink, very colorful, very psychedelic looking. And I talked to my boss, Mr. Wadsworth, and I say, "Hey, I want to bring this mushroom drink within the stores." We had some discussion about it, and it was like, "Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try." This drink was only in our shippers for the last 6 months. Did close to $500,000 in our stores. They're successful. That was a disruptor. That was something that we really needed. Same thing with St. James Tea. I work with the St. James Tea team. Brought them in. They're disrupted. They have partnerships with HBO White Lotus. So those some things that are you truly a disruptor? Because everybody's definition of disruptor is different, even mine. But what I look for is that something that's going to really go out there and get the industry shaking. I like that.
Is it ingredient driven? Is it formulation driven? Is it packaging driven when you're talking about innovation?
It's all.
Yeah.
It's all. It can be something that's ingredient. It can be actually sometimes it can be just brand driven or just what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of cycle like what is it? Something that's going to break the wheel, break the cycle of the mundane, every kind of items that we get. That's a lot of things. So it can be ingredient driven. It could be brand driven. It could be creativity driven. A lot of times it's creativity. It was a tea company that was very creative out there in Expo East I saw last year. No, in Utopia I saw last year, and I thought that was really creative. But I'm a creative thinker, and so I like a lot of creative thinking brands.
You brought up St. James. I want to stay on that for a sec. St. James was founded by someone who has a ton of experience in the beverage industry. They are well financed, as far as I know. Support on shelf has to be key to potential success. Yes, you could get into 3,000 stores, but how well are you able to adequately support those products? I would assume that the St. James team has done a good job in that respect.
Very outstanding job.
Yeah. So
Uh,
how much does that play into your decision making when you know that a brand will be able to adequately support its products on shelf?
it goes back to that the early conversation when I had about not over promise and under deliver. So St. James T was talking to me. They had some big dreams. They really had some big
Yeah.
dreams, but they were delivering. That's the key. They were delivering on those ideas and those concepts and that creativity that they had, and then it's a great product as well. So when the product's great, the people are great, everything's great about the product. That's what drives it in and bring it into the stores and really make us, and when I say us, King Soopers, the City Market, and Kroger, bring that product in and give it a product a chance.
One of the amazing things about Expo West is that the evolution of this show has brought a pretty amazing evolution in what we see for package design, for label design. So much of what is on the show floor looks slick, looks like it's been produced by a pretty high-end design agency. It looks really cool. Sometimes though, you see a package or you see a label that could use some work. How do you evaluate, assess when a brand doesn't necessarily have their packaging as buttoned up as they should? What are some mistakes that you see in packaging that you're like, this is not going to work for our stores? You got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, there are some mistakes that's made. A lot of times if you're local, you should have the Colorado Proud symbol on your product. That's how I feel. That's an easy win. If you're in a shipper, let the shipper tell the story about your product. A lot of times, don't give me a corrugated box with just brown boxes and think the chips is going to sell. Let it know that it's non-GMO or zero sugar or zero calories, whatever it is that you're proud of. Let the shipper tell the story, and that's probably one of the most things I deal with more than anything. The packaging. A lot of people are just really, really passionate about their packaging, so I don't give a lot of input in package design. But what I do give it a lot of input with the shippers. When the shippers get to the store, I say, okay, the shipper's going to have to tell the story. And a lot of times, because I work with brands in their infancy, a lot of times we're able to have a discussion about the shipper, the dimensions, what we're looking for. Is it going to be metal? Is it going to be cardboard? And so my biggest thing is that I tell the brands, please make sure that your shipper tells the story. That's extremely important.
Interesting. I've never heard that before, but I think that's such a good point.
Yeah, you have to let it, because like to go back to Melton Forest real quick, yeah, zero sugars, non-GMO, sugar-free, so all these other things, but it tells the story on the shipper. So that way you don't have to pick up the can and Google it or look at the ingredient label. The shipper's already going to tell you all the benefits about this drink and about this brand or whatever the case may be.
We've talked a lot about what the relationship should look like, or at least what the communication should sound like when you already have a relationship with someone like yourself. But getting that first meeting, planning for that first meeting, what's most important when a founder walks into your office or when they have that first phone call? What are the things that they need to be prepared to answer? How should they set expectations for that meeting?
I think the expectation be high, because this meeting it's not going to make or break you. I'm not going to say anything like that, but you always want to put your best foot forward.
Sure.
You want to come prepared. You want to have a capacity statement if you can.
What's a capacity
A
statement?
capability statement, capacity statement. It's just showing you capabilities as far as like, this is what my brand is capable of. I'm capable of producing these many units per day. I'm capable of expanding or scaling if I need to. I'm capable of adjusting the price or a lot of different things. So that's one of the first things. Another thing too is that if you have a PowerPoint presentation, give me everything about it. Give me know what the cost is, what your margins you're looking for, who's your distributor, how many doors you're currently in, what retailers you're currently in. I think give me all the information you can give me. Don't leave anything out on the table, because I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. That's one of the things I do, and I'm very proud of, is that I go in there and ask a lot of questions that they may not think of. But to my point is that you just have to put your best foot forward, come in with some energy, Come in with some energy. I think that's really important. You got to have that energy. And then just tell me a little bit about yourself and your product, because there's some things some red flags that may pop up or some green flags that may pop up. But I just think that it's really important to make sure that you're honest, open, and transparent
Yeah.
during this discussion.
And energized.
And energized. So
Yeah.
hot E topics.
E. Oat.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like
hot
that. Yeah.
topics. Yeah, exactly.
I was talking to, just before we hopped on the mics, I was talking to the founder of a brand called Kevin's Natural Foods, and the founder, Kevin McCrae. He and I were chatting about taste, and he said that when he goes into or when they first went into Costco, the Costco buyers were pretty blown away by the taste of the product. You said earlier you don't drink cold coffee. When you're evaluating taste, and it's something that you don't necessarily consume, how do you assess whether or not it's going to be a fit with your shoppers?
Ray, taste is very subjective.
Sure.
I might not I don't like spicy food. So, I'm not going to try the spicy food, but I got an office full of people that's very honest with me, that's going to let me know. And not only that, I have a neighbor that's going to let me know. I have a wife that's going to let me know. I have 2 sons that's going to let me know. I use everything I can to go out there and talk to people and say, okay, here's what we have. Here's the product. Hey, son, take a couple to school. Let me know how it goes. My other son, take a couple to work. Let me know how it tastes. My neighbor, and give me the feedback. And once I get that feedback from the group, my team out there, including the office, family, neighbors, and things like that, then I kind of go back and just have a discussion. And if everybody say, "Oh my God, this is amazing! This is so amazing," that's a win. But if it's like, "It's not for me. It's not for me. It's not for me," and I tasted it well, it's not for me either. We might have to have another discussion about it.
Yeah, we're going to have another discussion.
We
yeah.
need to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Todd, you had talked very eloquently and beautifully about the mentors in your life and those folks that have helped you in your 3 decades at Kroger, which still blows my mind because looking at you right now, I'm like, you look like you're 30 years old.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Ray.
And some of these folks, one of the folks you already mentioned, Jane Miller, who is the CEO of Rudy's and has done an amazing job, has an incredible reputation in this industry. Talk about the importance of mentors and how they have helped guide you along your journey.
Yeah, I think mentors is extremely important. I have a lot of people that's in my corner. First and foremost, my wife. She's a credible mentor for me and a friend for me. So that's I've been married for 22 years. And so that's one of the things that's really important for me. And then I have people like Jane Miller, Holly Adrian, Chris Albee. I can go on and on. Becky Diaz, Angela Jensen. It's been so many people that's been instrumental in my career path. I will tell you that Jane has been very, very, she's not only my mentor, she's my friend as well. Jane and she texted me this morning, you got to come to my booth today before you leave.
Yeah.
But, I think it's important to have a mentor, and I think it's also important to mentor others because your journey is going to be not always the straight path. My journey's been all over the place in the last 30 years for Kroger, but I think it's important to talk to somebody that had those experiences, to tell you that, no, you're doing that wrong, or you may need to rethink that, or great job. The reason why I got to King Soopers because Joe Kelly he's the current president of King Soopers in City Market, but he was the president of Houston. And I built a great relationship with him. And I told him, I was out here on vacation with my wife, and I said, I would love to come to Colorado one day. And he said, are you serious? And this when I was working in Houston as a store director. And I said, yes, sir, I am. And he said, well, let's get it started. And so it was just a perfect fit. I eat very clean and stuff like that. So it was just one of those things that when I got this role, I wanted to do something and really push it. It's a gentle push every single day to be great at this role. And also not great at this role, but it produced great results as well. I think that's extremely important.
Not everything is as opportunistic as it may seem like it is.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And then when you talked about disruptors earlier, Ray, I'm a disruptor.
Sure.
As well. Last year I talked to every Expo West I was going to, or Expo East or Nutopia, whatever case may be, a lot of brands would tell me, hey, we're women owned. We're women owned, or we're women owned. I heard that over and over again, women owned. And that's proud. That's something to be proud of. And so what I did last year, I said, you know what? I talked to Jane Miller, I talked to Chris Albee, and I talked to Holly Adrian. Those are my three core people. And I said, you know what? I want to do a women's own end cap in our stores. And it was like, really? And I was like, yeah, I really want to do women's on NCAP. And so it was just been so many people that helped me with that. Stephanie from Kroger helped me. She said, let's get together and do it. And so she gave me all this list of women that was doing it. I created the NCAP in 30 of our stores. We did over $600,000 with those brands. Yeah, we did it from March to August. And it was a huge success for us. And just little things like that is me being a disruptor. I was even glad that Erin Watson from WeBank, she invited me over to meet some brands as well and implement those brands and brought them in. And that's disrupting. That's disrupting. Those are the type of things that you have to go out there and say, let's not look at the same mundane retail store. What can we do that's different on the cutting edge? And that's one of the things that we did with success.
Amazing, amazing. I'm so glad that we had this opportunity to chat, Todd. This has been such a great conversation. I know there's going to be a lot of folks that are saying, hey, I want to get in touch with Todd. I want to get into King Super stores. What's the best way to connect with you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn, on Todd Davis. And you'll see me on LinkedIn, and I do a lot of just posting on LinkedIn because I think it's real important to share success with others. But the best way to get on me is LinkedIn. Just reach out to me and let's have a discussion about bringing your brand in.
Okay. If I think there's a cool brand that you guys should look at, is it okay if I email you about that?
Of course, you know
Okay.
that, right? Of course, of course. I'm always chasing something new. It's a continuous. I remember this is the relentless pursuit of perfection. It's trying to chase something new and trying to never get complacent on what I do.
Outstanding. Todd, once again, thank you so much for being with me today. Let's stay in touch and keep this conversation going.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time today as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.